time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. Happy February to everyone out there as we start a new month in this crazy world of 2023. Moving along quicker than normal, it would seem. I can't believe January is already here and gone. I'm recording this the final night of January, of course, but you guys are hearing this bright and early, hopefully, in the new month of February. And man, where has the time gone? Not only has it been a fast month, but it's been another fast 28 years, if I must say so myself. We talked about the Cowboys last week and their lack of Super Bowl success, Super Bowl wins, since that's all they ever talk about all the time. We got 5 championships. We got 5 championships. 6. Do they have 6? I lose track. I think the Steelers and Patriots have 6. Yeah. So, and the 49ers, of course, with their 5 right there with the Cowboys. And you know what? I wanted to start the show today. Just saying this, I absolutely, well, there's a lot of things I hate. Number one, let's see, I told Val this the other day, ingratitude, not to her that she's being this, just, I was expressing my, my life's, frustrations, ingratitude of people, whiners, just people that whine nonstop. And then there was something else, which I'm sure it'll pop in my head. But, I used to hate, when people, and it wasn't even my team necessarily, when people would, come out of nowhere and start making fun of my team for losing, especially deep in the playoffs. I never really understood that. Didn't get it. Maybe I think it proves the point that a lot of people would much rather destroy than build. It's just not in our nature, really. And maybe when you don't have something to cheer for, that's why you go after teams that are successful. Like you did something about it. There's one friend in particular who happens to root for one of the teams that I mentioned. And he's that way. As soon as a team he doesn't like loses, he's all over Facebook and social media, and maybe I am a little bit too, but one of his favorite words is trash. They're trash. It's like, well, they're not really trash. They're deep in the postseason. So you can't really say that, but some guys love to do that. A lot of people love to build or destroy rather than build, I should say. So I've always felt, I'll look at, you guys know, I wanted the San Francisco 49. I need to start using the city before the mascot, as is custom, because most people don't say the city for some reason. But I felt sympathy for the 49ers on Sunday. I really did, because I felt they had a good team. They ran into some, tough injuries, tough calls. Just, you know what, it wasn't their day. They got blown out. Let's not forget that. And football sucks when you don't have a quarterback, for sure. And poor Shanahan, he's been through so many quarterbacks. And so there was a part of me that was like, man, I feel bad for him. I'm so glad they're out. Another year without a Super Bowl championship in the 21st century is glorious for me as a 49er hater. But again, it dates back to the 49er fans. It's their fans that are the most annoying and that have always been pretentious and we this, we that. Shouting Niners, bang. What is this bang, bang? That is the stupid. No, you know what? I digress. Whose house? Rams house is the stupidest in stadium chant you could say. I do believe that. And this is me being unbiased, but bang, bang. Where did that all come from? That is really stupid. We them boys, that's whatever, but that's to be expected. But it's just the overall Niner attitude that has come at me over the years. And I didn't even ask for it much. Now I know on this podcast, sure, I've been outspoken about my Rams and this and that, but as soon as the Rams lose, as soon as they eliminate from the playoffs, I got all kinds of people hitting me up and doing this and trying to make me feel bad. It's like, what are you making me feel bad for? I grew up on this stuff. But people come out of the woodworks. And if you're a Niner fan, I don't say God bless you, but bless you. You're committed, I think, at least for now. And God knows why you started rooting for that team, whatever. and it's so many good people I know too that are Niner fans, like some of my mentors, former coaches, colleagues, and it's just like, hey, I guess we all have flaws, and I have plenty of flaws as well. But I used to hate when a team would lose, even when people would come out of nowhere. Oh, your team lost. They're terrible. I'm like, what? Why are you? First of all, why are you talking to me about this? Your team is nowhere. Is this all you do? Is just hate on teams? And I hate on teams. I root for against teams in the postseason, especially, and in season. So I'm not saying I've not cast the first stone or whatever it is, but I felt bad for the Niners, like 1% of me. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to make fun of these dudes for losing because, again, I didn't have much of a season. My team anyway, like I had control over this stuff, right? That's the other things that's why I hate the whole we thing. We didn't do this. We didn't do that. There is no we. You're not on the team. You didn't call a play. You didn't do anything. You're a fan. You cheer for a team. It's not like, I'm not going to get to it. So anyway, there was a part of me like, all right, I enjoy when something happens to just kind of smile and just like not say much, just kind of have people, oh, he's going to say something, but then I don't say something because it's not my nature to do that. But then I go to work on Monday morning and I had a small sample size of 49er fans, and it just sums up 49er Nation. Is that what you guys are, Bay Area? I don't even know. The excuses were hilarious. Hilarious. Did you guys know the refs gave up 31 points? Did you guys know that? Did you guys also know that if the first catch by who was that? Alabama wide receiver, one-handed catch, fell to the ground, the ball came out. Did you guys know if that was not ruled a catch, that the 49ers would have won the game? Do you guys know? That was my favorite part. If they don't call that a catch, then Brock Purdy doesn't get injured because they don't go in and try to throw the ball right away, and he doesn't get hit, and then somehow he stays in the game. And like making these predictions off of something that happened and the reactions that would have followed after it. Yeah. Delusionality, a word. People are so delusional. It is mind-boggling. If they would have rolled that Smith, what is the wide receiver's name for Alabama? Smith. It was great in the national championship. Anyway, if he doesn't make that one-handed catch, if they rule that a catch, don't rule that a catch. How come the NFL didn't get involved? Why is they not? People get so emotional and fanatical, and I am talking in a mirror right now. I am that guy. I'm a lunatic when it comes to my team. But you know what I don't do? I don't scream about the officials. I have no control over anything, really. Do you guys honestly think, man, I'm all over the place. Do you guys honestly sit there and watch me here or listen to me here, and you think that my team has never been screwed by the officials? Do you think that's possible? No, it's not. I've seen it happen. I don't know that I've ever publicly vented about it. Because you know what? It's hard to officiate football games. It's hard to officiate professional sports at a high level. Does it excuse their mistakes? No. And I would feel sympathy for teams that had some calls go against them. But then I see the reactions. My favorite, the guys, you know how I know the NFL is not screwing certain teams in the league? Because every team in the league thinks they are that team. The NFL doesn't want the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. Really? Arguably one of the top 5 most popular teams, fan bases in the NFL. The NFL doesn't want them to go to the Super Bowl. The NFL doesn't want the Dallas Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. You're right. You are a genius. This whole time they've been in the booth talking over, saying, you know what? We need to keep the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers out of the Super Bowl. Why didn't we think of this sooner? If we had thought of this sooner, they would have never been in a Super Bowl before. Conspiracy theories. Get out of here. You lost the game 31-7. And I know the quarterback thing, all this and that. Bad call. Yes, it was a bad call. Replay should have reviewed it. Shanahan should have thrown the flag. But don't sit there and be like, well, they're just out to get us. You sound very amateurish, and you sound delusional. Sorry, you do. there's too much that goes into football games to say, well, that was the plan all along to make sure the 49ers don't advance. Really? Now, let's go to Kansas City, and I'll get back to the 49ers because I have more to say. Because again, injuries, they're not fair, but you know what? That is why football, you could put all the rules, regulations in you want. Injuries are a huge part of football. Look at the Rams this year. Injury depleted all year. You go from a Super Bowl champion to a team that went the worst record ever up for a Super Bowl champion. Injuries are a huge part of the game. And San Francisco losing their quarterbacks, losing Brock Purdy, losing Josh Johnson, the former San Diego quarterback from USD, who, if you've listened to Tracy McFade here on the podcast before, you've heard him tell a few stories about refereeing down there. That's the quarterback who Tracy referenced when he was down there, when Jim Harbaugh was there at the same time. Little fun fact here from the podcast. And so to Kansas City we go, and look at that whole situation with the 5th down, whatever you want to call it, stopping the play. Look at the play was clearly stopped. The referee, the side judge, I think it was, he came running in, blowing a whistle. It was so loud, tough break. No one saw him. No one heard it. They clearly stopped it before the play went off. Does it look bad? Yes, it's awful. There was a clock malfunction. They had to fix it. These guys are scrutinized with every little thing they do or don't do. So to try to fix something to make the game that needed was important enough to stop the play there. He didn't just randomly, even the side judge was just like, hey, let's randomly stop this play because I know that Kansas City is not going to get this play. So I'm looking into the future and I know that he's not going to get a first down. So we're going to stop it before it happens. Really? Again, really? Now, very unfortunate. You go there, you say, hey, we stopped the play. The play didn't happen. Bring everybody back. It's an awful look. It's inexcusable, really, that someone else didn't notice and jump on the whistle and stop it. But sometimes the game is ugly. Sometimes offenses, defensive, they play ugly. Sometimes the officials, they step on their own toes. They make bad calls. In that situation, I don't think it was an awful call. It seemed like there was just a stoppage, and they tried to stop it and couldn't get it off. And then it was, well, the next play was pass interference. How could they throw a flag? It's like, dude, somebody out there somewhere write these unwritten rules or whatever it's supposed, I wish there was a fan book on what refs are supposed to call. How are they supposed to officiate in certain games? And you know me, guys, I'm going to defend officials any chance I get. I'm also going to say when they're wrong. And dude, there's plenty of bad calls in games. There's plenty of questionable calls, incorrect calls, as they usually refer to them as. But my goodness, it's two teams at the highest level getting after it. Full speed. I mean, do you guys remember when the replacement officials came in and officiated a couple of weeks in the NFL and how bad that was and how everyone was like, man, we need the regular guys back? That's the difference. That is the difference in mistakes made by the best guys in the world doing it versus guys that shouldn't be there that make mistakes and their mistakes just turn into an avalanche. Okay, the unnecessary roughness call at the end of the game by Cincinnati, 100% the right call, should be called every single time, whether I like the fact that quarterbacks get too much treatment or whatever. Joseph Asai for Cincinnati, that was one of the dumbest plays I've ever seen. And I know he's going full speed. He has to stop right on the sideline. Mahomes was clearly out of bounds. And the one thing you couldn't do there was put your hands on him. Clearly out of bounds. You got to try to stop, try to hold yourself up at least. That would at least show the world and the officials, hey, I wasn't trying to hit him. But you give him a nice shove, and maybe Patrick, gave it a little extra. But hey, it's the playoffs. It's like pretending you get hit by a pitch, man. You're looking for every inch. I thought it was one of the dumbest plays I've ever seen. And I felt bad for the guy afterward to see his reaction. And then I felt a little bad after saying that and saying it now, because I know that the same people that are kind of like, man, they're too hard on him, he didn't lose the game, are the same people that want to crucify officials at halftime in the middle of games, really, and bring someone from the streets of San Francisco with a needle in their arm to come officiate instead. That's the logic out there. So I'm all over the place, I know, but that Joseph Asai, and he's going to live with that a long time, but that was truly he just wasn't thinking. And it goes to show you that in the NFL, especially the best athletes in the world, sometimes they're moving so fast that maybe they don't think. And I think that is what separates the best players in the NFL from guys that are really good out of college or guys that should have had better careers, is that ability to think quickly between the ears, for Mahomes to get rid of the ball a little more quickly, or for a player to know, hey, full speed stop. It is interesting that some of the best defensive players in the league don't get penalties like that. They might get penalties of aggression, and that's, something that you can always kind of live with. But that play there, that was just not smart, and handed them, it was a longer field goal. And who knows, Butker may have made the 60-yarder. But I just love when fans, especially the 49er fans, start this whole, well, if this hadn't happened, then that's what happened, and then that would have happened. Like you actually know, for some reason, what would have transpired the next few plays. It would have given you extra life, we'll say. But I just look at, officials are imperfect. You guys know I was an official. I made plenty of mistakes. I never got to the highest of levels, but I'm always going to speak, if I can, from experience at the levels that I did work, and try to piece it all together and just call it, no pun intended, call it what it is. And I just think we get so caught up now in officiating because there's so many cameras, because it feels like your team is being cheated. And again, that's how I know no team is being cheated purposely, we'll say, is because every single team thinks they're that. The Dallas Cowboys think they never get calls. The Patriots think they never get calls. And it's really funny when other fan bases accuse other the 49ers, they get every call. What? And then the 49ers fans are like, what are you talking about? We never get any calls. It's just, we get so fired up emotionally. I don't know. Look, I'm trying to think of how I deal with these things, because when call goes against my team, I usually shout out something I shouldn't. And I move on, almost like I just treat it as like the Rams gave up a first down and I'm angry at some guy but it's not like, oh my goodness, the refs they're going after my team. They care so much about me, Matt Hersma, and my team losing, that they're going to make bad calls on purpose. I don't think so. And maybe, I know a lot of you guys are sitting there saying, well, we're not saying the calls are on purpose, but it's just incompetence. And that can happen at this level, and accountability. Okay. If that's the way you're going to think, then every single player in the NFL, every single player in the NBA, which I will get to in a second, anytime they mess up, anytime they do something stupid, they miss a layup, they push a guy out of bounds like they shouldn't, they drop a pass, Patrick Mahomes fumbles a snap, oh my goodness. Anytime these basic things, basic mistakes happen, if you're going to be consistent and talk about accountability, well, maybe you don't trade that quarterback, you trade that player, get rid of them, but you find those guys. I think that would be pretty ridiculous too, to fine players for making mistakes on the field. Now, certain things in officiating, I will say that were inexcusable, that I think as far as an accountability standpoint, they should be held to, is administrative stuff, like screwing up a rule, marching off a 15-yard penalty when it should have been 10, losing a down, stuff like that. But as far as, I thought it was PI, I threw it and it wasn't. I mean, come on, man. It's a human game with human elements and human mistakes, human successes as well. Refs. It's unbelievable, man. I look at, and people just, well, we need accountability. When's it going to change? How's it going to get better? First of all, I'll tell you right now, in the history of football, officiating has never been better than it is right now. Okay. And the same way you could say, well, football's never been better than it is now, because of the evolution and the training, responsibilities, and all this. Anyway, there's some things you just need to accept. And I think one of them is that officiating is hard and mistakes are going to be made. And because you look through your team's colored glasses, you blow it up to the bigger deal than it is. There were some very bad calls this weekend. Very bad. Guess what? There's going to be bad calls in week 1. There's probably going to be a few bad calls in the Super Bowl, with, in theory, on paper, the 7 best officials in the league chosen for that game. And I'll be rooting for, obviously, the white hat, who I've said before is a Southern California native, doesn't live too far from here, and who I've met a time or two. I don't know very, very well or anything, but the man white hat in the Super Bowl, second time in 3 years. So he's doing something right. There's too much money in this league. There's too much at stake for these teams for you to think that the league has any interest in trying to screw a certain team. Cincinnati, they're going to be furious. They're going to be mad. They're going to sit there. Oh, they just wanted the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. Really? Chiefs, Bengals. I mean, kind of the same thing. We're not talking like Yankees, Red Sox here. Maybe now with Mahomes and everything, but Joe Burrow's pretty good. He had his team in the Super Bowl last year. I think anybody would be happy with whoever was in the Super Bowl. We just have to stop with these conspiracy theories. And I know the past few weeks I've been like, oh, conspiracy theories, they're becoming realities with a lot of, governmental stuff and restrictions and conspiracy realities. And everyone, when this happened, I was actually officiating back at the time when the whole Tim Donaghy thing happened. And I remember a lot of us just talking like, it'll never be the same now. Now every game at every level will always have this cloud over it. Like, hey, was that a fair game? Was that a fair fight? So, I mean, that's just always going to be the case from here on out. Every missed call, oh, that ref is this. Or, I think it's disgusting when I see, memes and jokes about head referee Ron Torbert, trading jerseys with Patrick Mahomes or saying he's going to be in the Ring of Honor. I just think it's a total lack of respect for positions of authority and something that is extremely hard to do. And I did it at very low levels, and it was, I can honestly say it was hard then because sometimes you don't always have, how should we say, camaraderie with the guys you're working with. You're trying to work together and do the best job you can, but sometimes it's just not good enough. And I get on here and I slam teams for their performance and their attitudes. I know, so it's weird coming from me, but it's just like the teams out there who are competing and falling short. And yeah, they're not competing against another group of men necessarily, but in some ways, as an official, you're actually competing against two groups of teams, not just one. And I'm not saying that as like you want one to win or lose, but you're trying to keep law and order out there. You're trying to keep things fair and impartial and keep a level playing field. And just, I don't know, man, mistakes are going to be made. I think every pass interference call now, everybody's just like up in arms. And it's just like, dude, what do you want? I heard a great quote a long time ago in umpiring, and someone was like, most coaches want 51% of the gray area. And that's true. And I think a lot of fans, when things start to snowball and go against your team, we're just like, they're out to get us. This is rigged. This isn't fair. I always wonder about these fans who act this way all the time. Like what are their talks to their kids? Or if someone is like a teacher and they teach children, like what are the lessons? Or when these guys are coaches like themselves in youth sports, like what do you do with kids in situations like this? Like, oh, life is supposed to be fair and everything's supposed to go your way, and things that don't go your way, you're just supposed to complain about. Like, are those the lessons? Is that what I think we forget sometimes? Like, I don't know. What's the saying? Life is what happens, 10% of what happens to you, 90% of how you respond to it. Well, I think so many fans, they just want a perfect game. They want their teams to play perfect. They want the official to be perfect. And it's not true. It just doesn't happen. You've been mad at your teams plenty of times and mad at the officials even more than that, I got to imagine. So let me bounce around here because I do want to make some other statements about some things. First off, I want to say that when I was officiating, so it's kind of similar to what we were doing, I guess. A lot of times, coaches before the game, you talk to each team and they would say, hey, we got something on film. We saw that this other team is doing. And you'd be like, okay. Cause you go into game with an open mind and, but you always ask teams, especially in football, hey, is there anything a concern you want us to be aware of? And on the same note, hey, if you have a trick play you're going to run, let us know what it is. So number one, we could say if it's legal, and number two, we're not surprised by it and we make a mistake, just trying to work the game. It's all the game within the game. So a lot of times teams would say, 1, 2, maybe 3 things that they saw in film that another team does. And it would be like an alert. Hey, please watch this when they're in this formation or whatever. They block below the waist when they shouldn't, or in basketball, they really grab when they're coming off screens, whatever. And so what would happen more often than not, and it was so funny how it worked out, is that in doing so, it would alert me as an official to not just that specific action by the other team, but it would also alert me to possible actions of that team doing the exact same thing. I've said a lot of times in like politics, when things one side accuses the other of, they're actually doing themselves. And I use the analogy there just to help kind of paint the picture. But in football, for example, a team would say, hey, these guys block below the waist, as an example. Okay, running play, sweep around the right, the defensive corner, he's not allowed to take out the lead blocker and cut the blocker low, just like the blocker can't go low and take his knees out. And so please watch the defensive guys blocking below the waist. A unique play that you don't see often, but you do see every now and then. It'd be like, okay, no problem, we'll watch that. And I can remember the specific game when this happened, when I was at Baldwin Park Northview, I think. But anyway, I saw the play clear as day, and it was the teams were flipped. The team that wanted the call was on offense or defense or however it went. And so I flagged it. Boom. I saw it clear as day because my alert, my antenna was up to watch for this, even though it was coming from the other team. And so when it would go against these teams, it would be like, no, we told you that they do that. It was almost like, yeah, but in this case, you did it. So if you're going to want the official, hey, you got to watch for something, make sure your house is in order too. It happened in baseball. I was working a game, and some base coach or coach walked by. He said, hey, their coach is out of the batter's box or out of the coach's box. Coaches are supposed to be in those white lines, and teams would get paranoid at the college level. A guy's stealing signs, the coach looking in and seeing the catcher signals and relaying the information to the hitter. So coaches would be like, hey, can you make sure their coach is in the box? And the guy had wandered a little bit, and I said, they kept saying it, can you please get him in the box? And that's finally when I knew what decision I was going to make. I said, yeah, no problem. Hey, coach, please be in the box, between the lines, appreciate it. Very next inning, when their team went on offense, their coach had a toenail outside the box. I stopped the game, time, I need fair warning, blah, 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 right back at him. They lost their mind because they thought I was picking on him. I was like, I didn't start this fight. You told me to watch for something. It doesn't work just one way, where you watch something just on one group of people, just on one guy, just on one team. No. If you want me to watch for something, we're watching it both ways, because what's the one thing? Call it both ways. Call it both ways. You hear that all the time, but once again, the people that say it don't really mean it. They just mean call it against them more than us. That's what they really want to hear. In basketball, when the team fouls would be, it's 7-3. Call it both ways. Well, maybe you stop fouling them more than them or whatever, So there's all these phrases and things that get thrown out in sports and officiating. And I don't know why I said all this. I think what came to mind, why I brought it up as I was sitting there watching the games, was there was a play where it was a scuffle. And, the announcers, as they're cliche to say, oh, they always catch the second guy. The second guy got the flag or whatever. And what happens a lot of the times, again, you're officiating, you got your areas here. You see something that gets your attention out of the corner of your eye or whatever, and or your attention goes there, and then you see the retaliation. And so maybe you don't see the initial act that caused it. And that's where you need a good partner to come in and say, hey, I saw the whole thing, or I saw the beginning, how it all acted out. But that got me to the point that got to me, the whole like reason why they see the secondary guy a lot of times in a scuffle or something is because it stems from that whole, hey, watch them, but not us. Hey, they're going to do this. They're going to set illegal screens, but not us. I was with a partner of mine, did that. Coach said, hey, watch the illegal screen. And the partner said, yours or theirs? And that didn't go over well, but I thought it was a really funny line. So, and another thing, I think in youth sports, high school sports, when I saw a terrible baseball clip from this weekend where moms in the stands were calling out fastball to like these 13, 14-year-old guys in like fall, and the umpire was like, "Hey, can you guys knock it off? What are you guys doing?" And they were appalled. They were up in arms. "Hey, you can't talk to me that way. I've never seen this before." It's like, and I applaud the umpire. I was like, "You guys are acting like children up here. Sit in your stands under your umbrella, drink your lemonade, and watch your kids play baseball." What do you think? Telling him he's going to hit the fastball's coming when he's 13 years old? You think that's going to help him get to the big leagues or something? So that, yeah, Mike Trout's mom is in the front row saying, "Watch the curveball, Mike." So yeah, I have opinions about fans, especially parents. Come at officials all the time. I got something for the society, and I've been around a lot of sports a long time and seen all kinds of it, man. I've been up in the press box, down on the field, officiating. I've been coaching. I've been a fan myself. Like I've seen all the different areas of sports, which has been cool from the very different perspectives. And sometimes I'm like, man, the people that complain the most about officiating and things like that, they're like the worst people. I'm not saying if you complain about officiating that you shouldn't do that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to like, we like redirect our anger into certain areas that we have no control over. And I find it funny because there's plenty of other problems and issues and why there's a shortage of officiating in youth sports and stuff. Okay, I will try to move on from the whole defending officiating thing. But yeah, who got cheated? We got cheated by the refs. No accountability. Do we get fined or lose money when you miss layups? I think not. But then the argument is, yeah, but our job's hard. Oh, really? So officiating is not hard. That's what you're saying. Okay, interesting. Reason why they called the second guy Joseph. I'll take a commercial briefly here to talk about what happened in Memphis. I've seen the video. Memphis PD appeared to really use overly excessive force on Tyre Nichols, and I don't know what that was all about. It seemed like there was something more than meets the eye, maybe something more to the story. I don't know, but 5-on-1. My good friend Bill Barnes said long ago, and be here on the podcast many times, that once the cuffs go on, the altercation is over. It should end. And I mean, unless someone's getting kicked in the face or something like that, but I support the police more often than not. And in this situation in Memphis, it did appear that the 5 officers, again, without knowing, well, there's not much more of the story to know, really. They got the guy in cuffs and used excessive force on him, beat him up, and did not seem warranted by any means. So what we shall see, I mean, the cops were fired, charges were issued. Our legal system appears to be working out here. So, there was some worries, concerns about riots, and although we call them insurrections now, out in the streets. And fortunately, it wasn't too bad around the country. But so I think sometimes the legal system plays out and see what happens, and we go from there. So definitely sad for Tyre Nichols, who was a FedEx employee, I understand, and just sad to see that not just that he died, but again that this situation will put police in a corner. It'll raise a bunch of questions, and the vicious circle goes round and round. And I think more often than not, there's many good cops out there, and many that I know and support. And I'm really curious if there's some type of backstory or something here with these officers who fatally beat him to death. I don't know much more than that. I've tried to listen to the talking heads about it all. But it was rather disturbing. And again, there's bad people sometimes in the world, and there's no rhyme or reason why there's a bad call in a game. It's just like, wait a minute, that shouldn't happen. And there's plenty of things in the world that just should not happen. And there's not always an explanation for them, I guess, is the way I'm phrasing it. Sometimes there is, and it takes a little while to find out, but I'm just glad that fortunately cities did not burn to the ground, and it looks like our justice system is working itself out. So that is all I will say about that. I do want to talk about somebody that I really do not like talking about, and you guys know that that it has to be LeBron James. His reaction on Saturday night to the no foul call was one of the most childish tantrums I've ever seen in my life. Well, Matt, he clearly got hit on the ground. Yeah, he also clearly traveled before he got hit. How much? You see, it's pick and choose your battles. Well, that by rule, they let them get away with that all the time. Well, maybe by rule, full speed, the way it you know what? Every replay they've shown, it's all been slow motion, of course. I could see why the officials missed it. I was like, full speed this way, he got blocked this way, it looked possibly like a block. You don't want to guess, with a second left or whatever. And you want to talk about entitlement. This guy, LeBron James. So there's a perfect example. How many people say in basketball all the time, oh, the stars get all the calls, LeBron gets all the calls. And then a play like that happens, and it's like, well, LeBron never gets a call. So you understand that you can have all these narratives and theories that really don't mean anything. They're just talking points. But LeBron's little tantrum, I have seen 2-year-olds who act more mature than that, who don't get their way. I mean, if you're a parent and you're watching that with your son, and you don't say, if you ever act like that, I will rip you off the court. I could promise you my dad would have said that. And my dad was harder on refs than anything. But just as far as accountability and reaction, I mean, can you I'm trying to think of something that would happen in my life where I would react that way. Think about it. Like if your dog got run over and then the guy turned around and ran it over again, would you act that way? I mean, I think some people say LeBron, he was, he looked up at the Jumbotron to watch the replay. I think he was looking up there to make sure cameras were on him. And then everyone was, I got fouled. Life is so unfair. No one ever believes me. I cannot stand that guy. He is so bad for basketball. He's going to pass the all-time scoring leader thing. Everyone wants to worship him. I'm not doing it. I cannot wait for him to get out of the NBA and be gone. And then he'll probably be some spokesman for some cause because he won't know what to do with himself. I just hate the guy. I'm not saying if you get fouled, you should never be mad. That's not what I'm saying. I used to foul people a lot and would hide it. So I was like, I didn't get fouled very often. I usually did the fouling. But to act like that? Really? Really? I'm trying to think of a worse tantrum than that. I really yeah. Keep in mind, coming from a baseball guy, I've been around a lot of baseball games. Had a lot of hitters lose their minds. A lot of managers lose their minds. I've never seen anything like that. That was truly embarrassing. And to me, summed up LeBron James's career. And if you still root for that guy, you still pull for him. I mean, can you imagine Michael Jordan doing that? I can't for the life of me. And I know Kobe Bryant, I think he got ejected a few times. He was very hard on the officials. I don't know. It just seems like it comes from a different place from guys like Kobe and Michael Jordan, as far as basketball goes. It just seems different to me. Maybe I'm crazy and I'm just being biased because I don't like the guy. But this whole thing is a big reason why I don't like the guy. But how could you act that way? I mean, it was comical. It looked theatrical. It looked like, sometimes they do, like, actors will do improvisation, these improv classes, and they'll just like lay it on thick, and people are just like, no, don't cut the camera. Like, let's keep this rolling and see what more we can get out of them. I I, I couldn't believe that, man. That was embarrassing. And I say that a lot about LeBron James. I mean, anytime he talks, he can't say a sentence together, can't type a sentence together, apparently, with some of the tweets that I don't follow, but, people pass them or retweet him or share him along, and all of his opinions. I mean, always stirring stuff up. He's been an awful role model to me. Not to me, but in my opinion, to people off but he built a school, Matt. He's very, yeah, okay. It's just everything is about him, dude. Everything. I remember when he went to his son's game. Sure, it was against his old high school in Cleveland, Akron. The city, Cleveland, the place he abandoned twice. And his son is playing Bronny. And I've never been a dad, and cheering for your kid, but he made it all about him. Storming the sideline, going up, standing up, making it everyone see, I'm LeBron James. This is my kid. Just anyway, I'm getting carried away. I know. I'm trying to think of all the guys I dislike in sport, and that's got to be my number one. I didn't think it would be. I really liked him coming out of high school. Same class as me, by the way. Remember watching him as he was a senior in high school at Pauley Pavilion, St. Vincent, St. Mary, against Modern Day. That was really cool. But yeah, just the direction he's gone. He's always at the forefront of political issues he doesn't know anything about. He seems like he's wrong all the time, and just one of the biggest whiners I've ever seen. And that tantrum on Saturday night, if it wasn't sad, it would be hysterical to see a grown man act that way, roll around on the ground like someone took his ice cream from him. I mean, it was. I don't care. I don't care what would have happened. I don't care if how bad the call was missed. There's no excuse to act that way. None. Sorry. Grow up. It's time to grow up. When are we going to start this whole, hey, life's not fair, man. You gotta battle through adversity. When is that going to start coming back? Today, nowadays, we're just forfeit. Things are hard. Things are tough. Oh, people are out to get me. Life's unfair. I'm not going to achieve anything. Even when I'm really good at something, people still don't respect me. I can't win. Great mentalities. I think this is a big reason as to why our society is how it is these days. It's outstanding. Let's keep it up, America. Let's keep it up. I'm sure we can dissolve and fizzle off into space or into the underground the way we're going. Was there anything else here? Have you guys watched you guys know who Project Veritas is? If you guys haven't seen these guys, check them out. It's kind of like Candid Camera, but like with serious issues like COVID and such. Project Veritas, a undercover kind of a thing, filmed a Pfizer employee bragging about the mutation of the virus and the vaccines and this and that. And then this guy lost his mind, of course, when they were like, hey, so we were videoing you. And what's hysterical to me is, again, I talked to you guys about censorship and violation of this or that. That video was taken down. Let's see, violation of community guidelines. It was removed. Now, why would a video be removed that violated community guidelines of a Pfizer employee telling the truth? It's very again, language is everything. Violation of community guidelines. That's why it was taken down. Well, what was the community guideline? That a guy said something that he believed to be true and didn't want anybody to know. So therefore it's not a lie, but it's a secret? Violation of community guidelines. Maybe I should use that as a title for something. And when you don't want to accuse someone of being a liar or of keeping something from you, it's a violation of community guidelines. I mentioned it last week, man, about the whole World Health Organization or whatever that Bond villain convention was with the private airplanes and everything. Project Veritas. check them out. They get censored all the time because they believe in like truth and like trying to get stories out there that no one else wants to cover. But I saw that and I just laughed. I go, violation of community guidelines. Really? That's saying something without saying something. Very interesting. What's another thing I saw? Oh, Saturday. I got to tell you guys, and I'm sad there's only one football game left. Chiefs and Eagles, man, that's going to be a heck of a game. Honestly, the Eagles have such a good offensive and defensive line. It's unbelievable. My kind of team. I really love, man, the Jalen Hurts timeline, what he's gone through, man, to be the star at Alabama, leads to a national championship, gets benched at Alabama, cheers on his replacement, Tua, transfers to another school, gets drafted in like the third round. He's a backup. He works his way up. The Jalen Hurts story is something I really, really can appreciate and root for. And I really like Patrick Mahomes, how he plays and you know, his story as well. But Jalen Hurts, man, when we talk about adversity and just showing up, man, just showing up, keep working. I mean, you want to talk about life being unfair. He led his team to a national championship. Then he gets replaced at halftime of another national championship. Come on, man. Then he gets dethroned as the starter. I mean, this guy could have given up at any time, but now he's in the freaking Super Bowl. That's pretty impressive. And he's not the only reason. There's a ton of other guys around him. But it's just a cool story. And some stories like that, I love sports for those reasons that you get to see that stuff in real time. But Saturday, man, I was building up for the big game Sunday. Valerie had a gig, a big performance or something out in LA. So got some chores done in the morning. And then it was kind of a weird day. It was like, I don't work Saturdays anymore. So I'm like, I guess it's time to dive into a college basketball, man. I watched so many college basketball games. It happened to be like those challenge games, like the SEC versus the Big 10 or Big 12, Pac-12 challenge or whatever it was. Man, I had a great time. Watched Kentucky and Kansas, Tennessee versus Texas. Some amazing games. Arizona beat up, what was it, Washington, or maybe vice versa. But I watched college basketball all day. And when I mean all day, I mean all day. Like I flip on the like Big South, Eastern Community College games that are on like ESPN Plus or the Ocho. And I will watch any basketball game that's like 5 minutes or less and like within a bucket or two. I don't care what level it is. It's very exciting, that sport, when it's back and forth towards the end. So I watched a ton of college hoops, watched a little hockey, and then you know what I did? Because again, Val took off. I watched All Calm on the Eastern Front, that World War II movie on Netflix. Man, pretty wild, pretty crazy. You don't see many movies about World War I. It was really graphic and a tough watch, but that's kind of what my day was on Saturday. College hoops and hockey and the World War II movie, World War I movie, I should say, before the final two football games before the Super Bowl. I was like, man, this is what weekends are going to be like here soon. But I mentioned I transitioned from football fan to a other sport fan quite well. And, kind of in finishing things up here, the whole LeBron thing, something else I saw, and this from a guy that I really did like as a fan, as a former Laker. I saw Robert Horry get thrown out of a high school game as a dad from the stands, again, yelling at referees, "Hey ref, you suck," whatever it was. And I don't know. I kind of want to go on record and say no adult should ever get thrown out of a kid's game from the stands. Coaches, hey, that's part of the game. That happens. If you're a fan and you get thrown out of a game from the stands, now we were high school kids when that happened. We were at a girls' volleyball game and we got thrown out as a group, as a unit. That's different. But yeah, no adult should get thrown out of a kids game, and I would include kids as a high school game. But some guys just can't just sit back and just let the kids play, man. Sit back and let the kids play. Again, I've never been a parent, and that I'm sure that is a big part of it that Matt, you don't understand. Maybe I don't, and maybe I won't. But hey, I'm just saying my 2 cents out here, trying to stand up for people. I could see, there's people out there. Anytime something that happens from a referee standpoint, people always go to me, "Matt, how could this happen? Why did they do this? Why are they so bad?" Like I have all the answers just because I'm one of the only refs that people knew or whatever. And I don't have answers. And so because of those things, because every time you turn on TV, because there's no one ever standing up and defending officials and at least trying to give some clarity on a situation. That's why I make my best effort to do so, even when sometimes the explaining is inexplainable, and there's not much to say, I guess, except like, hey, stuff happens. Sorry, bad calls are part of the game. You got to deal with it. What did the guys of the 60s and the 70s, what did they all do? Back when men were men, the old football players, when they didn't have instant replay, that you think the officiating back then was like really good, a lot better than it is now? Probably not. They dealt with it. But we live in this society now of if things don't go my way, I'm going to just throw a big time tantrum. I'm going to cry because you guys leave your house every single day. Does every single thing you expect to happen or want to happen go your way? No, there's plenty of things that are incontrollable. And you can sit there and complain like, why is this crossing guard? How come he's not doing his job right? How come the lunch lady, they didn't do their job right? We should fire all these people. I hate to tell you, but turn your head to the left, turn your head to the right, look behind you. You're already looking in front of you, right? At no point did you see the world revolving around you, because the world doesn't revolve around you. Stuff happens. When bad things happen to me on a daily basis, I get frustrated. I yell something. I try to take a deep breath and move on, get through it. And at the end of the day, I'll like grit my teeth and be like, man, I can't believe that happened today. But guess what? Something more bad is going to happen. More bad is going to happen tomorrow. Life goes on. And you know what? You can keep looking to your left and to the right to see if the world revolves around you. But I can guarantee you this, that it absolutely does not, and it never will. And to those guys like LeBron James who thinks that it does and that it will always revolve around them, I don't know what to tell you. He's going to be in the spotlight for a long time. You, unfortunately, will not. And me, I'll have the spotlight out as soon as I can here to turn these lights off and these cameras off, because I hate being on camera. I hate even talking sometimes into the mic, because it is not my personality at all. You guys who know me probably are like, you're a really quiet dude in person. And I am. I don't know. Anyway, enough is enough. It's been a long day, as you guys can probably see and hear in my voice. Man, you didn't bring it today, or maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know what you were expecting. I don't know what you guys expect out of me on a weekly basis, but I am glad that you guys show up and tune in, even if it's for a few minutes or so. And for those of you that you just tell me that you listen, hey, that's cool too. I appreciate your fibs and your lies. It's all good. You know who you are. Next week on the podcast, my goal is to have on a Philadelphia Eagle fan and possibly a Kansas City Chiefs fan for a little preview of the Super Bowl. Maybe look at the teams a little more in depth, talk about the fan bases of each of those teams. Just something fun, unique, and an opportunity to, again, talk to a couple of friends that I haven't been able to talk to in a while, and a fun little format to build up for the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's going to be tough this weekend, this Pro Bowl weekend, which is a joke in itself, and I will not be participating in that. Is that you just like, you've had football every single Sunday since September 10th or whatever it's been, and then all of a sudden nothing. I mean, it's just the buildup for the one last game, and it makes the Super Bowl that much more appreciative. So I'm not sure what our plans are yet. I do know that we're already talking about food prep, things of that nature. So I think it's I would treat the Super Bowl menu bigger and better than the Thanksgiving menu. As much as I like Thanksgiving, I think the football Thanksgiving, how would you phrase it? I don't even know. But I think the Super Bowl menu, which we'll get into next week, some of the favorites, some of the things to expect, and I'll get them from you guys too. I'm gonna get some participation on this podcast. I swear, I'm gonna send out a Facebook notice or something and be like, hey guys, tell me what your favorite foods are. Let's talk about them. And I know there's people listening to this, not a lot of them, but I do know that there's a few people. So I'm going to try to get you guys, get your opinions on here, even if they are what was it called when you were not when you're anonymous. I'm gonna get some anonymous posts, anonymous answers here from the fan base out there, and we'll keep this thing going. And then I also know that Bill Barnes will be on the pods here soon, maybe in a couple of weeks, maybe sooner than that. I don't know. I will be seeing Bill very soon. I will not tell you guys where or what we are doing, but I will fill you in after we do it. And I think you guys will find it interesting. So have a great rest of your week, guys. We'll see you next week, hopefully for a conversation with either an Eagles fan, a Chiefs fan, or perhaps both. Try to do a little 20-minute thing with two guys I know. And if not, we'll just be talking about the upcoming big game and all the sights and sounds of the world that continues to revolve, not around us, but just revolve as we evolve. No, actually, I can't say that. I don't want to do the whole evolution thing and, anger people and this and that. But you know what I mean. Revolve while we evolve. That might be a statement. I don't know. Revolve and evolve. Thinking outside my head or inside my head, whatever it is. I need to get to bed, wake up, deliver packages. You got to understand, during the day, I am like 100 miles an hour. Not driving, of course. I don't mean miles. I don't mean odometer. I mean just package, drop it off, get another one. Drop it. I'm just by the time the day ends, I'm just like, bring it down a notch. And then on Tuesday nights, I got the podcast. So I'm just like, let's go. Get some coffee. Let's go. I don't get energy until the mic is in front of me and we get going. And maybe some of you guys are like, dude, what is wrong with you? Get off the air, cut the plug, turn it off. No more. All right, guys, I'll be here next week. I hope you will join me as well. Super Bowl week next week. Yeah, kind of a build up. What's it called? The not what did my dad always call it? The hype week this week. So get the lawns cut, get the laundry done, get all the chores done, get all that stuff out of the way so you can enjoy pregame festivities all throughout the week next week. And of course, one of the best days of the year, Super Sunday. But we have an empty weekend before that to do some other things. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Yell at refs all you want, but understand that some things just happen. There's no rhyme or reason. They're still the best of the world at doing it. And LeBron James, clean it up. Stop being a mopey crybaby baby. Stop being a terrible example for people out there, no matter how many points you score in your career. That's it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back next week. Let's do it again. Same bat time, same Matt channel. Okay, that was super lame. Anyway, guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or around in third base, get home safe.